My next guest tonight is a comedian whose critically acclaimed one-man show, Sleepwalk With Me, is now playing at the Bleecker Street Theater right here in good old New York City. Please welcome Mike Birbiglia.
Hey, wow, thank you. I was just going to tell you a quick story, which is I've had this lifelong fear of bears, and a few years ago, I attempted to face this fear. My sister Patty and I went to Alaska, which I highly recommend, and we went to a place. Why not? And we went to a place called Katmai National Park that has so many bears that when you arrive, they take you to what's called bear orientation. And they teach you, and I'm not kidding, if you ever see a bear walking towards you, you're actually supposed to clap and make the bear aware of your presence. Like, I'm right here, bear! I'm right here! I'm Mike, and you're a bear! And when they told me this, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be murdered by a bear, because that seems like basting yourself in barbecue sauce. Yeah, you know, like, I'm right here, bear! I'm right here! And I taste fantastic! I've applied condiments so that I'll be less bland. Well, Patty and I went fly fishing. I don't know if you've ever tried this, but it's much more difficult than it looks, and a river runs through it. But we're waist deep in water. We're in the rubber pants, you know, they're called waders, and there are salmon jumping out of the water in front of us, literally jumping, which is what I would do if I were a fish. That seems like a great field trip. You're in the boring water all day, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I want to stay here and grow legs and become a human, which is what happened over time. Sorry, homeschoolers. But the salmon are jumping out of the water, but I can't catch them with the rod. There's this whole kind of conductor maneuver with fly fishing. If you don't catch them, you feel like an idiot. You're like, I should have brought a net, because they're just jumping. That'd be a lot easier. We're with the fishing guide, this professional fishing guide, and he feels bad for me because I'm so terrible. So he catches himself, places the rod in my hands, and goes, you got one! And that hurt, you know, because I knew I hadn't. Well, here's where it heats up. I'm with this professional fishing guide. My sister Patty's about 75 yards behind us, and I hear her say, Mike? And it was the voice of someone who was about to be mauled. Had a very distinct pitch, you know. It was like, Mike? Like right here, she thought, there might be a bear. Right here, there's a bear. Like if she knew the whole time, it'd just be like, Mike. I turn around, there's an 8-foot brown bear walking towards her in the water. It's very surreal because he wasn't running. You know, he wasn't like, I will murder you, rah! He was just like, I'm a bear, etc. Well, here it was, my greatest fear in my entire life, and I was proud of myself because I built up the courage to say, guide, do something. And the guide snapped into action. He sprinted over in the water, and he goes, yeah, yeah, yeah! And the bear walks away. He's like, all right, I'm a bear, etc. And I was very relieved that my sister didn't get mauled, but in retrospect, I was a little angry at the guide. I was like, you know, you didn't tell me about the Yaha plan. You just told me to go, I'm right here, bear, I'm right here. My name is Mike. It's like you gave me the bad parachute. Everybody's chute goes off, and then I have the multicolored gym class parachute. I'm like, this doesn't do anything except build team skills. All right, now you go under. All right, thanks a lot, everybody. That's my bear story.
Nice job, Mike.
Oh,
very funny. You know, I want to ask you something, which is your show. Your show is very personal. You talk about your real life.
I do,
and
yeah.
You talk about your family. What happens when your family is present? If your family comes to a show and you're talking about them, is it uncomfortable?
This show is very personal, the Sleepwalk With Me show, and I talk about them quite a bit. And my mother came last week for the first time. We've been running since October. And it was she liked it, but she was a little tentative. But as a consolation prize, I brought her to The View. because I was on The View the next day, which is like mom fantasy camp.
Yeah.
It is like the best possible thing that
Moms
could
go
happen.
crazy, yeah.
Yeah, my mom watches it every day, and I watch it on YouTube when it goes off the rails. But what happened is I took her to The View, and
I love honesty.
and I got to introduce her. I was sitting with Joy Behar, and I said, hey, would you say hi to my mom? It would really mean a lot to me and her. And so she was like, am I her favorite? Like they're the Beatles. And I go, yeah, you are. And so she went over, and she said, how'd you like Mike's show? Because Joy had come as well. It was really sweet of her. And then
she's very nice.
And and my mom said, I liked it, but at certain points it was a little too personal. And Joy said, well, that's the best kind of comedy. And so it's kind of like a doctor's note from Joy Behar to my mom saying it was okay for me to continue being a comedian.
I give your son permission. Yeah, it's very nice. Well, Sleepwalk with Me, it's very funny. It's now playing at the Bleecker Street Theater in New York City. And if you haven't seen that show, go and see it. Mike, really funny.
Thanks
Always
a lot.
nice having you on the show. You're a good man. Mike Birbiglia, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. Stick around. Thank all our guests. It's your last call with Carson Daly. Bye, everybody. Bye. We'll see you tomorrow.